front of them all night. There's a lot of players there playing with a lack of confidence. Romero's got to be looked at. We say it every week. He could be a wonderful defender, but it's time and time again he gets sent off. He gets the second booking. He's got to play differently then. But that's just one individual. But as a collective, they just weren't at it tonight at all, and it's very disappointing. And that is a pattern of Tottenham. It's not a one-off. It's a pattern. It's time and time again we've seen them play like this.
First and foremost, congratulations to Milan. They done their part of the bargain. They held their side up. But from a Spurs point of view, you have to say, embarrassing. No spark, no urgency, lacklustre at times, dour, drab. I don't know how many more words I can find to explain the performance today. We asked at half-time and before the game for these players to go out there and give these fans something to kind of get them behind them, which you need in these knockout phases, in these big games. They done nothing. There was no fight. There was no spirit in that team, and they'll be going back into that change room and looking around and thinking, we all could have done more individually, but as a team as well. And the manager would have thought, I would have expected much more from that. These games, you don't really need team talks. The games, they're there. There's the stature of these games. What's at stake? You go out there and you give it your all. You perform. The last thing you want as a player when you come off a game, any level, is where you feel that you could have done more. You could have given more to the cause. And that's how they'll be leaving this stadium. And the fans, you could tell the disappointment in this stadium.
You could hear it.
You couldn't, because there was nothing to kind of to go off.
That Milan team won't believe how easy that's been tonight. For what's at stake and how easy it was tonight, they won't be able to believe it.
These Spurs fans, Spurs fans, they want to hope and pray that Harry Kane wants to be a one-club man. Regardless of what happens at this football club silverware-wise, they want to hope and pray that he's to Spurs for the rest of his career, because on the face of that, he's going to say, I'm going to finish my career playing alongside and with and for this type of performance. I don't understand. It's
more than going away for Harry to win trophies or whatever. He's going to be looking at that tonight, and many times where...
You can't enjoy that, Glenn, can
No, he wants to be in a team that can create for him. He's scored all them amount of goals and played like he has with a team that hasn't really created that many chances for him. He creates a lot himself, and when they play well, it's like then 4 or 5 games. It's not back-to-back performances they can put together, this team, and it's like they hang on in there. But the main key for me is there's just no creativity there. If you haven't got a player that can drop his shoulder and beat someone, then you open spaces up.
Son was that player, but
he was that player. You're right.
Yeah.
He's playing in chains. He's played for weeks in chains. He's not even thinking about what he's going to do next with the ball. He's just worried about getting control and not making a mistake. It's a classic there where you do. He scored goals from the bench when he scored 3 against Leicester. Take him out. Take him out for a few weeks and let him come on from the sidelines. That's just one individual player, but it just wasn't good enough right the way through the team. You do need fight, you do need spirit, that's a given, but there wasn't enough ability out there.
And what about the decision to take off Kulusevski for Sanchez in a game where you need a goal and you need to be pushing forward? It's not the sort of thing that helps your cause when you're a Tottenham manager under pressure.
Yeah. Well, the main thing at the moment with the fans and the problem with the fans is that tactically they feel it's too defensive, it's too pragmatic. They don't go for the jugular. And we saw it again today. We've seen it time and time again. We're repeating the same things time and time again. In the first half of a Champions League second leg, the quarter-final at stake, come out and go at them, give the crowd something to cheer. I've never seen the crowd so flat, but that was because of the performance. And it's happened. It has to be coming from the manager. It has to be, right, we'll sit back, we'll take it in the first half and then we'll get, we'll go out and have a go in the second, because it consistently happens. And it's just not been good enough this year.
To do that, Peter, I think we were talking during the game and I was saying, when Tottenham only play with 2 in midfield and they get outnumbered. Some teams play with 4 in there or a 3 in there, whatever shape is behind or in front. That is where the midfield can't press like they should be able to press. They can't get near anyone. And tonight it should have happened because they were playing a similar system. So the wing-backs should have been smothering, not being pushed back into a 5. They could have been smothering their wing-backs on the front foot. And the midfield is the problem for me. If they go into a 5, they get outnumbered in midfield when the opposition has got the ball. But when they can't press. They can't press because there's big holes behind them in between their back 3 and their midfield. and it's a real problem. You've got to play with 3 in there sometimes. You've got to change. Sometimes you've got to change the tactics.
They've got to play with more risk. We were sitting here and saying, play the ball forward, play one touch, take
It's just not going to happen under this manager, though, is it?
I don't know.
It's not going to suddenly change.
I don't know. There's no risk.
It's the player. You've got to look at the player. Is he going to get... I mean, Højbjerg put some decent performances for Tottenham, and he's a good player at what he does, but get turned, look forward first, and then if it's not on, then go back.
How many times have we sat here and we've gone... He's passed it to the players in the Spurs team. Every time there's opportunities to play forward, and it's easy sometimes when you're sitting up in the stand and watching with a bird's eye view of the game, but too often it happens where there is a ball on forward and they play safe.
Is that a message from the manager? Is that a confidence issue from the players?
Scared?
There's no cry.
The manager hasn't asked him to do that. He hasn't asked him to do that. And that's what happens for Tottenham. In the 2 in midfield, sometimes they pop it back so many times. It happens in all teams nowadays. They go backwards for nothing. Then they haven't turned. It goes back, it goes in, it goes back. Now, what you're doing there, you're giving people time to get organised to press you. And they can press you easy when nothing's being productive going forward. So you're doing set-up balls, going back to the back player, comes into midfield, back to the... They're getting organised to press you. Yeah. So it works, even that works against you, let alone getting turned and looking to poke balls through to the strikers that Spurs have got.
At no point did Milan's back 3 ever feel uncomfortable in that game. I'm telling you, Kalulu, Tomori, Chow, all of them, young defenders. We said before the game, these young defenders in a big occasion like this need to be put under pressure. They come off that pitch. You could see Tomori grew in confidence every minute because he was sitting there going, nothing's testing me here at the moment. And it continued throughout the whole game.
Yeah, OK, well, it was a must-score, must-win night. It didn't happen, neither of them. In fact, the first time they forced the opposition goalkeeper into a really serious save was the 94th minute. Only a couple of shots on target for Spurs this evening. Elsewhere, there was some goals and a little bit of drama. And